Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. I am doing a guide. Welcome to the Monster Hunter Wilds optimization guide for the RTX 3060. A lot of people are complaining that the 3060 does not run the game properly. And while I do understand, because I've seen it myself, you're barely getting like 30, I'm gonna say 33 frames tops. You can do something to optimize the game and just make it look decent and play better, okay? Now, let me actually walk you through the entire process. I'm gonna have to lower my decibels a little bit because I'm on a new PC, as in, not actually my PC, this is my wife's PC. So, we are running an Nvidia GeForce RTX 3060, 12 gigs of RAM, okay? We got 16 gigabytes of memory RAM. Now, even though they did not specify the actual RAM frequency in system requirements, in the recommended, or the minimum, we have 4800 megahertz, which is the RAM's speed, which does in fact matter quite a lot. And then there's the CPU, which is an Intel i5 13400F, okay? This is a 13 gen, okay? Just keep that in mind. Now, while I do agree that the game is piss poor optimized, that is pretty standard for the current gaming industry, so I'm sorry, but y'all gotta start whining about it because it's never gonna change, okay? That's the problem. It's never gonna change because people keep buying games and they buy the slop, so it is what it is. Just do what you can with your current hardware, or best thing I can actually recommend is getting an RTX 4070. That actually runs the game properly. Okay? Now, first of all, this game has been shipped with outdated DLL files. Okay? So, you will need to do this. Okay? You will need DLSS swapper. You will need Nvidia profile inspector. Okay? Make sure you get both. You will have both in the video description. You will need to update DLSS frame generation if you can make use of it. However, I cannot. Apparently, the frame generation in this game is only available for the RTX 40 series. Otherwise, you have to use AMD's FSR. I will choose to not use AMD's FSR, even if that means I will have lower performance, because FSR makes the game look very bad. Unfortunately, so does DLSS quality. So, I will update this. And I need to know if this actually works. Okay? But I recommend you update this. I will actually update FSR as well, because maybe, just maybe, this works. Because you can in fact use AMD's frame generation if you turn on FSR in-game. I'll update this just in case, but I can't make use of it. Because apparently the 3060 does not have access to it. Even though in some games you can use frame generation in the 3060, with the 3060, I'm sorry, does not seem to be the case for Monster Hunter Wilds. Okay, so once you've done this, you can go ahead and just close this, okay? Open up Nvidia Profile Inspector, type Monster Hunter Wilds up here, okay? Select it. If the exe does not show up, add application to current profile. You will have to look it up. Again, this is not my PC, so give me just 1 second to figure out where the game's installed. Where are you? Okay, so we are in here. Okay. Just select that. Type that in there. Paste it. Okay. Open. Okay. It's already assigned. Okay. But, yeah. That's what you do, in case it's not. Okay, that's how you add the exe. Now, you come here to the 5 common tab, you look for DLSS, enable DLL override. Click that, on. If you can make use of the frame generation, click on DLL override, on. Force preset letter, we don't care. We do care about this one, however. Force preset letter for DLSS. Click preset K. That is apparently the best one. Not my words, somebody else did the math on that. Okay, now that it's done, click apply changes. Now, hopefully the game will run better. Now, there are a couple of steps you actually need to take. First of all, game mode, this should be turned off. Unless you're using an outdated Windows, like Windows 10, this should be turned off. In most cases, it will cause stuttering in-game. Now, after you turn that off, you look for hardware acceleration, and it should be in your graphics settings, okay? System display graphics. You need advanced graphics settings. Now, in order for you to actually make use of frame generation, if you can, you need to turn on hardware accelerated GPU scheduling, okay? This is required for frame generation to even function. You need to turn this off, or on rather, I'm sorry. You need to turn this on, okay? This is called HAGS, or hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. You need this on. Okay. Now, we need to go to power plan. Choose a power plan. Do not select high performance. I know a lot of guides, like for example, Panjno's guides for optimizing your system to make your games play better, always recommend you turn this to high performance or ultra high. Never do that. It is incredibly bad, especially if you consider your PC's overall life expectancy. If you are somebody that cannot afford to make upgrades often, like I am, for example, because I make upgrades every 10 to 15 years or so. Do not turn on high performance or ultra high performance. Keep it on balanced. This will automatically handle everything for you properly. You don't need high performance plan. This is very, very bad. Okay? Do not turn this on. This is recommended in a lot of guides and it's actual misinformation. While it does probably provide more frames, in the long run your PC will have a lower life expectancy. You do not want your PC to be in constant overdrive, okay? You don't want constant high performance. That is really, really bad. There is nobody that wants constant high performance, unless you're maybe running a server or something. Odds are you probably do not. Keep it on balanced. You don't need high performance, trust me on this. It will save you money in the long run. And this pretty much already does the functions of high performance on a better plan, because it also allows your PC to function properly in all conditions without wasting your not wasting, how do I phrase this, without ruining your hardware in the long run, okay? Because high performance kind of does that. You don't want to have your hardware in constant high performance mode. That is really bad for your PC. Okay? That is extremely bad. Do not do that. Now, if you are an Nvidia user, open up your Nvidia control panel. This game has direct storage, which means if you are on an SSD, and the game pretty much requires an SSD, you will need to look up in help section, system information. Okay? Now give me a second because this PC is a little slow. Look up Nvidia GeForce, whatever RTX you got, and look up resizable bar in this details section. If it says no, you're in trouble. First of all, to run direct storage technology, which came out in 2022, this is an official technology by Microsoft. It is not used in many games yet. To run direct storage, you need REBAR, resizable bar, enabled in your BIOS, okay? If your GPU does not support REBAR, you can't use direct storage. This is gonna affect your in-game asset load tremendously, which also means frame loss. Now I cannot use REBAR. I will actually show you give me a second. There we go. Just look for disk management, okay? you also need to check here. If your GPU does say yes, then you need to look up disk management and look for your disk, preferably SSD. Right click, profile, volumes. If it says MBR, master boot record at partition style, you cannot use resizable bar. REBAR for short. You cannot use that, okay? It needs to say GUID partition table GPT, okay? If it does not say GPT, that means you either need to repartition it to BGPT, which is gonna be annoying, or you just straight up buy a new SSD and partition it when you are installing it, okay? It needs to be GPT. If it's not GPT, if it's MBR or anything else, you cannot use resizable bar, which does affect asset load tremendously because of direct storage, and you will have frame loss if you can't use this, okay? Now, for everybody that has frame loss and has a lot of asset loading issues, you probably either installed the game on an SSD that does not have resizable bar, or you have not enabled REBAR in your BIOS, or you cannot even run REBAR in the first place, or it's probably installed on an HDD like I have installed the game right now. Now, what I do recommend for Nvidia users, first of all, copy these settings, okay? I will give you time. DSR factors is where we were at. Okay, now I'm gonna move on. Okay. Texture filtering, trilinear optimization is the last one. Okay. Now this is basically optimized. The reason I have max frame rate set to 72 is because you want your maximum frame rate to be, especially if you're using G-Sync or FreeSync, you usually want this to be 3 frames lower than your monitor's refresh rate. This screen's refresh rate is 75 Hz, which is why I've put it on 72. Power management, keep this on normal, okay? Please keep power management to normal. Do not select prefer maximum performance yet. I'm gonna move on. Trilinear was the last one, okay? Now, VSync, a lot of people say turn this off. Do not. Yes, while it does lower frame rate in some cases, this also stabilizes your image, okay? It does in fact stabilize your image. Fast VSync is what you want to be using, okay? Please turn VSync to fast, especially if you are using G-Sync, okay? Now, go to program settings. Add Monster Hunter Wilds if you cannot find it. Add the exe. And then the only thing you change is in power management mode. Now you put the game itself to prefer maximum performance and you apply. Okay? This is what you do. You do not put your entire system on maximum performance. That is bad. Now, if you are installed on an SSD which does not have REBAR, you cannot make use of direct storage, I repeat. Okay? I will boot up the game, and while I boot up the game, I will explain that, because the game is gonna take a while, I will explain to you that maybe you should be considering lossless scaling, especially now because they updated to LSFG3, which is really good. That stands for Lossless Scaling Frame Generation. I highly recommend you get this. Here are my current settings. This has been recently updated and I haven't used it, I've not used it in a while. I've not actually used it at all on this PC specifically. But again, they recommend frame generation in general. And they recommended frame generation for an RTX, was it a 2070? Give me one quick second to actually check. Which is actual bullshit, by the way. So they recommended, it's a 2060, not even a 2070. So they recommended frame generation on an RTX 2060, which does not have frame generation. You cannot make use of frame generation on it. If my 3060 cannot, your 2060 definitely cannot. Okay? So just keep that in mind. You need frame generation on medium graphics to even hit 60 FPS, okay? Which is actually kind of true. Now, I'm gonna walk you through every single step. I am not installed on an SSD, keep that in mind. The game is currently installed on an HDD, okay? Which does affect performance quite a lot, like I've said. Now, what I do recommend is do not go to recommended lobby. Please boot up online single player lobby or private lobby. Normally, I would play on online single player lobby. You can in fact still play with your friends. You will have to probably SOS flare or just invite, okay? Just do not click on recommended lobby. The reason I'm saying this is because you will probably be joining a random dude or random person overall that just might just be playing the game on a Wi-Fi connection, and you will lag horribly and it's not gonna work for you. You're gonna probably complain because the game does not function properly. Like, I don't know, it used to be 40% positive. Let me check how much it's now. Okay, it's a 61. Yeah, it's gone up from 40%, which is good. This game does deserve around 75% positive, in my opinion. However, a lot of people do not know how to utilize their hardware. So, yes, please. There are some connection issues, however, so keep that in mind. Yes, I do agree that the game is poorly optimized, but that was... Listen, Dragon's Dogma 2 was way worse than this, okay? And it's done by basically the same company. It's using the same exact engine. It's using RE engine, okay? It's made by Capcom. Like Capcom, right? So you can expect this to run just as poorly as Dragon's Dogma 2. Or at least similar. In my opinion, this runs better. Because Dragon's Dogma 2, for example, at launch, I was literally unable to play on my 4070. This is playable on my 3060, or on my wife's 3060, which is actually mine because I gave it to her when I got the upgrade. So keep in mind, again, we've done everything so far. We have here the system specifications. I'm running Intel i5 13 Gen, a 13400F, okay, which is going up to, I believe it's 4.5 gigahertz. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't remember exactly. It's underclocked, by the way, and undervolted, because we had overheating issues on both the GPU and the CPU. Also, this RTX 3060, which does in fact have issues. Now you may notice that, which I'll explain a little bit, why it looks like that. That's because we are installed on an HDD, not on an SSD, and we do not have direct storage technology. Okay, we don't have REBAR. That is why asset load looks like that. That is why you're literally seeing vertices. That is exactly the reason why you are seeing vertices. Now, back to the RTX 3060. This RTX 3060 is defective. Okay? And we are getting 36 frames. Yes, I think I currently am running DLSS quality. And I will show you all my in-game settings. However, keep in mind, this GPU is undervolted, underclocked, and we only have one fan out of 2 working, okay? Okay? Keep that in mind. Also, we are installed on an SSD, or an HDD, actually. It's a SATA HDD, which is actually kind of slow. Okay? And then we have a 16 GB of RAM, which is their recommended, however, it's 4800 megahertz. Okay? The speed matters quite a lot. And it does in fact help with everything, including asset load, a little bit. Okay, now the game is playable, don't get me wrong. It does have low frame rate, but it is playable. I do not have... okay, hold up. So, I have DLSS quality enabled. Now, please enable all this... Again, I can't use frame generation, okay? This is for 40 series. The RTX40 series, specifically, okay? So, they recommend an RTX3060 when the 3060 can't even turn on frame gen, because it's for the 40 series, okay? Which is kind of interesting. An interesting decision. They did that because you can, in fact, turn on AMD FSR3, and then frame generation does become available. Okay? That is why they did it. And yes, the game is fully playable. However, you might notice some issues. And yes, that is in fact because AMD's FSR and frame generation is kinda bad. But we are getting 80 frames. And it just defaulted to performance for some reason. Excuse me. Now, I'm running AMD's anti-aliasing and it's 57 to 60 frames. 55, 47, oh, okay. Nice frame drops, dude. Alright, but again, this is playable, okay? Now, this is extremely bad. I recommend you do not do this. I recommend you get Lossless Scaling. You run Nvidia's DLSS if you have an Nvidia graphics card. You do not go lower than quality, and I will show you the reason right now. Here's the reason. I looked up some stuff, and right here is the reason as to why you do not want to go below quality normally, usually. DLSS performance is 960 width times 540 pixels height, okay? That's really bad. Quality is 720p, okay? That is why you do not want to go lower than quality. Because for 180p, quality is already much too low of a resolution to upscale back. And it's gonna look really bad, okay? So keep that in mind. Again, I will show you all of my settings. I'm currently running at 37 FPS, which is probably gonna go lower, up to maybe 30, depending on the area I'm at. It's probably gonna sit at 30 in Act 2, or Chapter 2, because that is more, heavy on the asset load, especially in the beginning. Okay? Now, I will show you all of my settings. Please pay attention. First of all, again, these are my settings, my PC specifications. Here is my VRAM usage. It's 3.66 GB usage by the game itself. My system does in fact use more overall. The actual usage is 4.41. I will actually check with the system itself. Yeah, it's 7.1 gigabytes of actual used dedicated GPU memory. So it's not even 4.41. So you need a bare minimum of 8 gigabyte, okay? Basically. Which is in fact true. But that is bare minimum for this game to even function, okay? Again, they have basically white lied to you with the system specifications. They are not correct whatsoever. And you need to read between the lines and understand that when they say, I will repeat myself again, when they say that you need this, they say this because you need to pay attention to all of it. SSD required, direct storage supported. That means you need a GPU that, first of all, has REBAR. Second of all, you need to make sure your SSD is a GPT partition style, and then you need a GPU that can actually use frame generation, which is new hardware, basically. This is a complete fucking lie. They need to delete this and just change it entirely. Recommend an RTX3060 instead, maybe. Okay? if you want to recommend anything that is below the 40 series, you need to recommend at least an RTX 3070 to your customers. So Capcom, I don't know what the fuck you did here, but this right here is a complete fucking lie. So is this, by the way. And they need to start adding RAM frequency, because while 16GB RAM is good, for gaming, if you are anywhere between 3600 MHz nowadays, it is incredibly bad for you, okay? You need to understand, the reason I'm saying all of this is to save you money. I'm literally trying to save you money and to teach you how to optimize your system and your game at the same time. Now, running back to the game, I would suggest you keep this to do not adjust separately, so your cutscenes kinda look good, okay? Kinda look the same, basically, is what I'm saying. Now, again, I cannot use frame generation, so what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna use Lossless Scaling instead. I do not want to use AMD's FSR and frame generation. I refuse, because it's really bad and it's known to be bad. It looks horrible, absolutely fucking horrible. Now, you got LS1, you got LSFG 3.0, and then multiplier is ×2. Okay, don't go ×3. ×2. ×3 looks bad. ×2. Don't go ×3. Do not. Just don't. And max frame latency, I recommend you keep it to 3 or lower. So 2 or 3. Okay. I'm actually go to 2. G-Sync if you have G-Sync, or FreeSync. Okay. Again, cap your frame rate to 3 frames lower than you would use your hertz from the screen. So if your screen is 60 hertz, you would cap your frame rate to 57. Now, normally, lossless scaling requires you to have your frames kinda capped to like half. Okay. So that would be, if it's 72 right now, that would be 36, okay? So you would cap your frame to 36. Now I'm not gonna do that, because I actually want to experiment a little bit. So I'll turn on the scaling, and that's gonna actually put my game into exclusive full screen mode, because I did not change that. Okay, now this does actually introduce input lag, okay? Quite a lot of it, actually. So I'm actually gonna just... Hold up. Because I do need to... Please. I was trying to use Riva Tuner, but for some reason the game does not want to work with Riva Tuner. I will unscale because something ain't right here. So... Pretty sure LS1 is the best setting to use, not FSR. Kinda weird. They did have a new update, which might have changed some stuff. I don't actually know. I'm assuming auto is the one. I'll turn on multi-display because I do have 2 displays currently. I don't know what flow scale is. This is new to me. Downscales the input frame to estimate motion blur. What? Improving performance. One process, the frame is warped at its original resolution to generate the final output. Okay, so this is basically your quality. Let's go 60. And let me attempt. What I also need is, let's go back. We need to draw FPS. It's selected, but for some reason the game does not want it to. Let's go to VSync. Okay. I believe 2 or 1 is the maximum frame latency we kinda want. So I'll go with 1 and test it out. For some reason it does not draw the frames anymore. Oh, there we go. It's drawn, it's just kinda white. Okay, give me 1 quick second. Okay, so we are currently running at 60 frames. This is very much playable, and it looks way better than AMD's FSR, okay? So keep this in mind. Now, again, this is installed on an HDD, and I cannot use REBAR or direct storage. Which just straight up means this is gonna look horrible probably until the assets load. But I'm curious, so I'm gonna just run up. Now, I did kind of give the game time to load up the assets, but when I'm gonna move from cutscene to actual game back, it's probably gonna be horrible. Okay? Now again, they kind of recommend frame generation, so you kind of need it. Now, we are running at 50 frames right now, with the frame generation from Lossless Scaling. This is set to quality upscaling. I should probably attempt balanced. Okay. Now, balanced doesn't look horrible anymore because I did update the DLL files, but I had some really annoying and really bad screen artifacting. Now, this is playable and looks kind of decent. It's not far from what your game should look normally. What the fuck? Did they literally just update the game as I am playing? And they making me go offline? What? Is that a thing? They do that in games? Hold up. Do they actually do that? That is weird. I'm looking it up right now. That is extremely weird. I've never seen that. I've actually never seen that. Okay. Now I have finished the game. So I'm currently right after the final boss of the story mode, basically. So this is probably considered entry to high rank. Do I want to fight this dude? I don't actually know how to play on mouse and keyboard. And I don't have the controller on hand right now. So let's see. Is this playable? This is very much playable, okay? Now, while I do not have actual 60 frames, even with frame generation on, whatever anybody is gonna tell you, the 3060 is actually, factually, already an outdated GPU, because it's 4 to 5 years old already. It came out in like 2021, okay? It is very much outdated. What's my focus now? What is that? What the? Oh, okay, that's actually convenient. This is very much playable, okay? I'm gonna lose here because I'm actually getting roasted. I don't know how to play on mouse and keyboard, I've never done it. I've only played this game with the controller. However, this is fully playable. So, now, we will enter the section where I show you the exact settings you should attempt to utilize, okay, to make your game look, well, first of all, as good as mine currently, and while it's not picture perfect, it does look pretty similar to how it looks on my 4070 PC, on my main, my actual PC, okay? Now I'm gonna sit here because the monster finally de-aggroed. And again, I highly recommend you look up Lossless Scaling, okay? Because it does in fact help quite a lot. So just look up Lossless Scaling on Steam and buy this. This is like, it's €7, bro. It's like $7. Just stop buying coffee like 7 days, okay? Because I know in some places coffees are actually even more expensive than $1 or something. Just if you want good performance and the game to look good, again, just this is unbalanced, okay? And it's playable. And again, this PC is not even using an SSD right now to run the game. I'm actually gonna go ahead and turn low ray tracing, because the 3060 can in fact use ray tracing. And we're going back, okay? And after this, after I check how the ray tracing is acting, by the way, do not go higher than low ray tracing. Do not recommend. I will tell you soon why. But first of all, do not use ray tracing in general unless you care about water reflections, because that is literally the only place where ray tracing even matters in this game. Okay? Water reflections. And while overall the game works properly with ray tracing, as you can see, the second I turn to water, my frames just tank. Okay, we are currently back to 60 though. But the water asset has not loaded in properly just yet. Again, I'm playing on an HDD. And considering I'm on an HDD, this is highly playable, okay? Highly playable. So, honestly, people need to optimize instead of just expect developers to launch a fully optimized game, because that's never gonna happen. It's your money on the line, so please start optimizing how to run your game and start optimizing your system. Now, back to the actual settings. We're going to options. Now please try and mimic my settings as close as possible. I will actually turn off ray tracing, because as you can see, there is almost no difference between low, medium and or high. There's almost no difference. A little bit lighting and mostly mostly reflections in the water. That is basically all the ray tracing is in this game. A little bit of lighting and just reflections. Just turn it off. Most of the time you will not care for it. Now, again, you do not want to go lower than balanced on a 180p monitor, okay? Do not go lower than balanced. If you have to go lower than balanced, then you definitely need a PC upgrade. Just definitely, straight up upgrade hardware. It's gonna look horrible, that's the problem. It already looks kind of bad, okay? Now, texture quality. I recommend you either go with low or medium. But I'm gonna go to high to see if that tanks a lot of frames. Do not use the high resolution texture pack. Please. For the love of God, you need to uninstall this if you have accidentally installed high resolution texture pack. I'm gonna show you how to uninstall it right now. So, first of all, I need to unscale. Give me 1 second. There we go. Let me boot up Steam. Go to your library. Monster Hunter. You're gonna scroll down a little bit. Okay. You're gonna want to find Manage My DLCs. Okay. Uncheck this and it will uninstall. It will uninstall. Also, this is 70 gigabytes, by the way. What the hell, Capcom? Are you crazy? Just fucking optimize textures a little bit. Anyway, uninstall that. It is really bad. Extremely bad. I have never seen a texture pack that has been so poorly optimized. I think not even the... Man. Not even the Fallout 4 texture pack was this poorly optimized. Jesus Christ. That is extremely fucking bad. It's literally unplayable, even on my RTX 4070. It's actually literally unplayable with the texture pack DLC installed. So, you want to keep it on high, medium, or low, okay? Now, if you can actually run on high with decent frames, because it doesn't affect your frame rate all that much, okay? I actually recommend you keep it to high, because it does matter quite a bit, okay? And as you can see, my frame rate has not dropped too much. Okay, we were pretty much at 50 to 60 before. Ah, never mind. Yep, okay, there we go. Back to 57. Okay. But again, I have a lot of asset load issues currently because this is installed. The game is installed on an HDD and I don't even know if it's 7,200 RPM as in rotations per minute. I think this is a 5,600 RPM hard disk. But I may be wrong. Anyway, that's besides the point. The idea is you can leave texture quality to high. The FPS performance improvement is minimal. So just, you can't straight up leave it to high. You should not require ever usage of anisotropic filtering higher than ×4. ×8 maybe, but it's bad on performance, and it honestly does not increase your quality whatsoever. Like, it's not even noticeable. Quite literally. Keep it medium. Mesh quality. Keep it high. There's almost no difference. Let's go to high, see if it changes anything though. Okay? It does actually lower your frame rate, so keep that in mind. You will lose a couple of frames here and there. Where this will impact your frame rate more is probably in cutscenes. Because in cutscenes you get characters up close. Also when a lot of dudes run on your screen, it's gonna be annoying. It's gonna tank frame rate like crazy. So just this mesh quality, keep it high or medium. Usually I would recommend you keep it on high because medium looks horrible. Fur quality, keep it on low. There's almost no improvement in quality whatsoever. Almost. Sky, cloud, put it to lowest. This is something you will literally never be looking at. And it doesn't seem to be having any sort of impact whatsoever on your sky's quality. Grass, tree, quality. Keep it medium because it looks horrible if you go lower. Grass, tree, sway, honestly, depends if you want to actually see the sway or not. I'll keep it on. Wind simulation, literally the same. However, if you lower them, it does in fact improve your performance by quite a bit. Okay? So just keep that in mind. It does in fact improve performance by quite a bit. So maybe consider just, you know, consider disabling grass and tree sway and lowering wind simulation quality. Now if you want to lower these, you need to be on the main screen. I keep both of these on high because most of the game is fucking sand. So, you know, might as well have something to look at, even if it's only rocks and pebbles and sand. Water effects. I recommend you keep this enabled. There are very few sections where it's gonna matter, but maybe turn it off in those sections specifically if you have issues. I'm talking specifically the Lalabarina arena, which is the red water, and then there's specifically the Utduna, which has a lot of water around. It's basically a whale. Okay. Render distance. Honestly, again, you gotta be on title option, but you want medium, bare minimum. I recommend keeping it on high though. Okay. But medium is your bare minimum. I'm about to sneeze. Shadow quality. As you can see, the improvement is actually minimal. However, if you go to low, it looks bad. Woo! Damn. Sorry about that. Still sick. Almost 3 weeks in. Okay, so I might actually recommend you keep it on low because, believe it or not, low might actually look better than medium in my eyes. But anything above medium just looks bad, in my opinion. And it does in fact tank frames. So keep it medium or low. Distant shadow quality, keep it low. Medium on shadow distance. Okay, because having more shadows on will in fact tank your frames. Ambient light quality. Okay, from medium to high there's almost literally no improvement. Almost. And in some cases, low might actually look better. Okay? Keep it medium in my opinion. Whew, that sneeze, man. Contact shadows. Okay? I recommend you keep this enabled because it does actually impact how it looks. But some people might actually like this disabled because in some places it might just straight up look better. It might straight up just look better in some places. However, overall I recommend you keep contact shadows enabled because it does kind of look better overall. Ambient occlusion. High, medium, off. Keep it medium. Just straight up keep it medium. Bloom. You either keep this on, whoops, my bad. You either keep bloom on low or high. There is almost no difference. Do not go low though, that's just a circle. Low at least still looks kinda decent. Motion blur, turn it off, makes the game look bad too. Vignette, I actually recommend you keep this on because it does add a little bit of ambiance to the game. Because if you turn it off, I mean, yeah, this darkens the corners a little bit, makes it look a little better. Screen space reflections, yeah, just keep it on, but do know that it's gonna be just a slightly lower VRAM usage if you turn it off. It does not affect your frame rate too much. Why do I feel like... Please tell me those darn NPCs are not too loud. They keep just running around me. SSSS scattering. Screen space separable subsurface scattering. Okay? This one just keep it on, but honestly doesn't matter all that much. It doesn't affect your performance almost at all. Maybe in some cutscenes. Depth of field. Turn this shit off. It makes your game look blurry AF. Volumetric fog. Some people do not like volumetric fog at all. Me personally, I like to keep it on high, but considering the frame drops, I will recommend you keep this on low. Variable rate shading. Keep this off unless you care about seeing actual individual pixels on screen every time there's light. Keep this on off. It does not impact performance almost at all. I don't think it impacts it at all actually. That was my guide, and do make use of lossless scaling. It does actually make your game look better. Now what I will do is test one quick second. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop to performance, and then I'm gonna go to full medium. And I want to see how it looks. Okay, first of all, this looks bad-ish. Because I am actually seeing it. Okay, there's the asset load issue, which I got. Because, you know, I'm on an HDD. But this does not look horrible. Okay, and it's playable. It does look bad. Because the game has asset load issues. And this game just isn't pretty to look at whatsoever. Which is why they did not even bother. This is mostly... Brothers, the entire game is basically mostly just fucking sand. Okay, you're basically in fucking sand most of the game. Except for when you're fighting Lalabarina. When you are fighting Uthduna. When you are fighting Reidao, because there is actual lighting and stuff happening. Let's see now. Kongalala or whatever the hell the monkey's name is, because you're in a forest. And then there are a couple of other monsters which actually have some decent arenas to look at. But aside from that, most of the game is just really, really bad looking, okay? So, I don't think you should mind that too much. Honestly, the monsters are literally the only thing you should be looking at. And your armor. Because this game looks horrible overall. Just my opinion. As somebody that has literally just finished the game. And basically started high rank, I think. Is this high rank? I don't even know. I just finished beating the Zoshin or whatever his name was. After Arkveld. And yeah. I'm gonna start playing with the big boys. I hope you guys enjoyed this full guide on how to make your Monster Hunter Wilds experience as best as humanly possible and still have the game, well, not look like it's a PS1 game. Even though this honestly looks like it's a PS2 game still. Yeah, they really did a piss poor job. especially for the older systems. You need a 40 series, okay? That is my strong opinion. Get an RTX 4070, and Capcom, please, for the love of fucking God, if you're watching this video at any point in time, update system requirements on Steam, especially the recommended ones. Recommend at least an RTX 3070 or a 3080. But even though 3080 is kind of expensive, like really expensive in some places of the world, just straight up, honestly recommend people buy an RTX 4070 for your game. So they can play properly, okay? If you all are wondering what my systems are, my actual system specification, not this one, please look in the video description. I'm running an RTX 4070 with 32 gigs of RAM, DDR5 4400 MHz, and an Intel i7 13 gen. Okay, it's a 13700F. I'm pretty sure I did not fuck anything up. But just in case, do look in the video description. You will see the specs there. Also, you will see the specs for this again, right now. These are the PC specs for this specific PC that has run Monster Hunter Wilds, and this guide specifically has been created on. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you managed to get some extra frames. And I hope this guide has helped anyone that has issues. I'll see you in the next video. Again, you do kinda need DLSS and frame generation, especially on older hardware. If you're on a 4070, however, you do not need Nvidia DLSS or FSR. Only frame generation. But frame generation basically mandatory for this game.